Alright, I wanted to make a video covering all the CVLIFE scopes that I have and have been testing, featuring, reviewing, shooting on the channel. If you're a regular of the channel, over the past year or two, you probably would have seen a bunch of these come up in my posts because I've been reviewing them all. And so, I don't know, roughly about 2 years or so, been testing all these, and I actually have these set in order from the very first one I tested clear up into the very last one I tested. So we'll go in order, and I'm just going to kind of give an overview of them all and just basically what my experience has been with them all, both positives and negatives, to give you guys a good idea about the brand. Now some of these might be mixed up, like I have a more than one 1 to 6 LPVO, and they're different models and such, so I might have mixed up like that. But overall, in general, we're from beginning to end here, and I'm not going to worry about model names or anything like that. In the beginning, they didn't really associate them with a model name like they do now. They have Bear Swift, Bear Power, Fox something or other, and several other names like that that they now associate with the scopes. But probably in the first half of this, they didn't have any such tags. So there's various different lines and names associated with those lines. Some are better than others. I'm not an expert on that, which is which, but I'm just gonna go over these real quick with you guys to show you beginning to end what we've tested here. And again, all of this is on the channel. I have a review video of every single one of these, shooting and reviewing them. You can view them each individually, easily accessed by going to my parts, accessories, and optics playlist to see the review video on any single one of these. But to start, this is the very first scope they sent me. It's a 6 to 24 by 50 there, and I actually had this mounted up and living on my 25-06 over there for quite a while. I was shooting near half-inch groups with that thing at 100 yards, and took that rifle out to 500 yards with it, no problem. Even got a headshot very first try, 540 yards, and that's a $50 scope. So it's not as nice as the one I currently have mounted up there by them, which we'll get to, which is a 5 to 25 by 56, if I remember correctly. That's a lot nicer scope, and the price reflects it. But I was getting it done with this $50 scope, which is the very first one they ever sent me. And then the second one, I might have this order mixed up too. These are both very similar. They're both 3 to 9 by 40s. I tested one of them first, then we had an LPVO, and then I tested the second one. They're practically the same scope. One of them has a mil-dot reticle, and the other one has a BDC reticle. So that's the only differences between those. And this one has been living on my 7.62 by 39 upper there. It never comes off unless I'm using this upper to test another scope, which, by the way, unless the scope has, unless it's like a designated long range scope, like what's on that 25-06 right now, or unless it has a BDC reticle like a lot of these LPVOs do, calibrated for 5.56, then generally I test the scopes on that 7.62 by 39 upper there, because it's a better test than using 223 5.56, because the 7.62 by 39 cartridge got a decent amount more recoil. So a lot of these scopes, like I said, there's a few exceptions, but a lot of them have been tested on that upper. But I always keep this one up on here. It's lived on that, and it's been through a lot of my 7.62 by 39 ammo tests. So again, especially for the price, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it comes in well under $100. It's been an excellent scope for me, a little 3 to 940 there. This is the first LPVO they sent me, if I don't have it backwards with the other 1 to 6 up there. 1 to 6 by 24. It's been absolutely flawless for me. And if I recall correctly, somewhere around 100 or just over, starting out for that 1 to 6 by 24 there. And then there's the other 3 to 940. Like I said, one of them's a mil-dot, one of them's a BDC reticle. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. And I've used this one several times, different rifles, and it has found a home on my RS-22M there for well over a year. Seen a lot of rounds there, because I use this rifle often in my gel tests I've been doing with 22 Magnum. Let me just pause here and tell you, I do have a few grievances that we'll get to with just a couple of these scopes, but they have all worked and continued to work and survive. They've all held zero. Every single one of these scopes, including the very last one, which I just put through a torture test on a 12 gauge shotgun, they've all held zero for me. They all still work like they're supposed to. There's just a few small little quirks and things here, with just a few of them, which I will highlight. Which reminds me, I forgot about this very first one here regarding that. It's a 6-24 advertised, but it honestly not quite 24 power. When you put it all the way up on 24x, it is not 24x. They may have corrected this with the newer models that they've come out with since to replace this and update this and upgrade this. They still offer the same basic scope, but it's been revised. But this original one I have here, again, it's claimed 24 power. But when you're all the way zoomed in there, it looks more like 18 to 20x, I would say. I didn't really realize it at the time, but now having used other 24, 25, and 26x scopes, I can tell you that that one definitely not true to magnification there on the 24 power. So that was a grievance with that. Again, scope was awesome, took it out 500 yards, no problem, shot sub MOA groups with it. But it's not quite true to magnification there on 24x. Also on maximum power, it was just a little bit like, I don't want to say blurry is the right word, but on maximum power, it was a little kind of like, I don't know, just distorted, I guess. And it should have a diopter, if I remember correctly. It does, but trying to get it in just that right spot. And then this one have parallax? No, wait. No, this one does not have a parallax. Oh, you got the AO up here. Okay. Anyways, you can get it to where it's pretty well focused on the maximum magnification there, but it takes a little bit of fine tuning with the AO here and the diopter back there, but still couldn't quite get it perfect, at least for my eyes. But I have nowhere near perfect vision, so that could be part of the problem there. But definitely the claim 24x on that is definitely not 24x. It's more like a 20x, I would say. No grievances with any of these. They all crystal clear up the maximum magnification, and the magnification is true to what it claims. Same goes here. Wait, we didn't make it to this one yet. Okay, that's why we just came from this. So on their 525 by 56 here that I used to shoot 1,000 yards. Just wanted to double check. 525 by 56. Yep. This was, if I recall correctly, clear even on maximum magnification. The only grievance I had with this one, which I brought up to them because they do ask me for my feedback quite often and want to know what they can improve on and such, which I think that's good. They actually want to improve their products. The parallax setting here, which I've heard from several people, especially on budget scopes like these. They're not always pinpoint accurate and precise like a higher end, you know, $1,000, $1,500 scope. But the parallax setting on this, while it does work and you can get it parallax free, for me it did not quite coincide with what I set it on. Like, for example, if I was shooting 300 yards and I obviously want it parallax free at 300 yards, I was finding that on the 300 yard setting there, it was not parallax free for me. I had to go a little bit further, like say 4 or 450 on it to get it parallax free. So basically, don't take those numbers at face value. The parallax thing does work and does get you parallax free. It's just probably not going to perfectly and accurately coincide with the numbers there. And I was able to get it parallax free, clear out to 1,000 yards, no problem. So minor grievance there. It does work. It does get you parallax free. True to magnification, best I could tell. These turrets were a little mushy on the clicks, but again, it got me shooting 1,000 yards, no problem. And it's kind of a, you know, a feature of a budget brand scope is that it's not going to be as precise as something that's $1,200. So it would be nice if these weren't so mushy, but again, it's kind of par for the course at the price range. And it would be nice if these actually were accurate to the distance that it states. But as I hear from others in the industry and friends that shoot and such, that's kind of par for the course on a budget scope as well. Then we got another LPVO here. this is a 1-6, so our other 1-6s over there have no grievances with the 1-6s. A lot of these have illuminated reticles. As I recall, they're all pretty much daytime bright, if not all of them. They all held 0. They're true to magnification. I don't recall ever having any issues or grievances out of any of the LPVOs except for the 1-8 small grievance, which I'll get to in just a second. Then we got a 4-16 by 44 here. I honestly do not remember much about this, so if I did have an issue or complaint or grievance about it, I would remember that. So again, you'd have to check out the review video, but as best as I can recall, I don't think I had anything negative to say about that one. And then the 1-8 here, absolutely flawless, other than I noticed when we'd get it all the way up on 8 power there, I was again just having kind of like a little bit of distortion through the glass, only on the maximum magnification. Does this one have, some of these I thought had a parallax setting even on an LPVO, but this one does not appear to have that. But you do still have your diopter back here, and again, it could just be my eyes because I do not have perfect eyesight. I'm actually wearing glasses currently recording this video, so that could have something to do with it. It was nice and clear all the way up to about 7.5, 8x, right at the maximum magnification for me. I was getting a little bit of distortion even with trying to fine-tune that diopter. I was able to greatly improve it by adjusting the diopter, but couldn't quite get it 100% crystal clear at 8x, but that could just be me because I don't have great eyes. And then they sent me this little guy. It's a, I believe it was a 4 power, 3 or 4. It's a fixed power scope. Just a little 22 scope there. I asked them if they had anything specific. If I recall correctly, I was like thinking about like the BSA Suite 22, something like that, and they're like, oh, we got this little thing. So I did a review video on that, and it's got some little holdover marks and such that worked decent out to 200 or 300 yards if I remember correctly. And while there wasn't a perfect holdover for like 50, 100, 152, 250, 300 yards, anything like that, I did find them usable, and I liked the scope enough, even stated such in the review video, that I was going to keep it on the 10-22, and as you can see, I have done such. And then we got another 1-8. I thought we only had one of those. I'm starting to lose track of these. So again, they have different lines like the Bear Swift, Bear Power, Fox something or other, and there's a few other. Like I said, they attach names to it now. Different lines are kind of like higher up in tiers. Like some of them are more budget minded, some of them are a little higher class. I want to say one of these was nice and clear all the way up on 8x, and maybe the other wasn't. Not 100% sure. It might have been both, but again, that's with my eyes not being so great. So the only possible small grievance would have been that, and it may have only been one and not the other, but there is a possibility it was both. I honestly cannot recall. Like I said, all these things continue to work and continue to hold 0 for me though, so just very minor grievances there. And then I was super impressed with this 1-10 LPVO they sent me recently, because unlike whichever 1-8, if it wasn't both, it may or may not have been both, that I couldn't quite get it crystal clear for my eyes on full magnification 8x. The 10x was. So I was blown away by that. I was like, oh, well, the 8x, you know, I couldn't go all the way up, or it was a little bit blurry, distorted. So I know this 10x is going to be the same story, right? Nope. 8, 9, 10x all the way up. I verified, if I remember correctly, but I can tell you just off memory, it did definitely zoom in a good bit further than their 8x LPVOs. So it's true to magnification. Zoomed in real good on the 10x, got you real close to targets, even out at 500 yards. I believe I showed that in the video as well. But I was super surprised. Clear up on 10x. Crystal clear image for me. So I was super impressed and blown away by that one. And then this is the one, it just literally, well, it depends on when I post this video, but this would have been the last CVLIFE scope review. And I put this through a ringer of a test. I actually asked them if they had any shotgun scopes, and they said they didn't have any shotgun specific scopes, but they suggested this one and told me that they were pretty confident it would survive on a 12 gauge shotgun. So I really put that to the test, and I put almost 100 slugs, 12 gauge slugs to this thing, and it held zero the entire time and continues to do so. And this guy was well under 100, so little 2-7 by 32, and was just super impressed that this held up to that kind of abuse. I got a freaking slug climbing up on the box. Because I had broken several scopes. Scopes actually costing a lot more than this one on that very 12 gauge shotgun shooting deer slugs. And this one held up to my torture test, so really impressed with that one. And I was standing up to wrap this one up, and I remembered one other thing on this 4-16 by 44 here. That's what it was. This was the only one. It's just popped on there, but you can see it's busted. That one, I've flipped all these up and let them bang around, you know, kind of like, here, I'll just show you real quick. When you flip them up, they kind of bounce around on you because they're under that spring pressure. So when they do that, and I've never actually had one break from doing that. The way this one broke, I had it on my 7.62 by 39 upper, if I recall correctly, during the review video. And I don't think I showed it on camera or anything, because it was kind of my fault. I went to pick up the gun, and I kind of like spun and flopped this way, and it hit that joint, and I pulled it across the wooden table, and it's possible it might have got caught in between the boards where there's the little space. You'll see what I'm talking about if you watch a review video. But unfortunately, we broke that cap there, so might have been my fault. That's why I didn't really say anything about it. So I don't know if it's a genuine grievance that I'm entitled to have, because it could have been my fault, but it would have been nice, I guess, if it was a little more robust and didn't break from me dragging it across the table for a second there. But yeah, so that covers every scope of theirs that I've reviewed so far. There's a lot more models I haven't got to that they offer, but I think this covers a pretty good wide range of it, and probably the most popular ones as well. So again, they all still continue to work, and they all still hold zero for me. So that's probably the most impressive feat, is that I have not broken a single one. Every single one works, and like I said, a good chunk of them I tested on the higher recoiling 7.62 by 39 upper there. Plus that thing's a rattle trap, because it's just a Anderson upper matched to the Anderson lower, which is a real, about as low end as they come, budget AR. This thing's a rattle trap, so mixed with the higher recoil of that cartridge, that's a pretty decent test for the scopes. I mean, I know it's not a 300 Win Mag or anything like that, but it's a lot better than, you know, just putting on your standard 5.56 AR upper. So, but yeah, that has been my experience over the past 2 years or so, testing out all these scopes, and I continue to use several of them on a regular basis, and not a single one has ever let me down. Like I said, as far as, you know, holding zero and all that, that's pretty much it. So all these are still good to go. Throw them on any rifle there and shoot, and it'll hold zero for you. So I have not had any problems with any of these scopes breaking. I've been highly impressed for the price with these. So that's been my experience. I hope you guys found this helpful and informative. Again, check out the parts, accessories, and optics playlist if you want to see the individual review videos on all of these. Also, in said review videos, there's links in the description for the scopes if you're looking to get you one. Linked in this video, products I generally use in my shooting videos, like earmuffs, safety glasses, shooting baggets, steel targets, paper targets, and more. Appreciate you stopping by and checking this one out, and I hope to catch you on the next one.